You hatch from a small amber egg attached to a submerged root somewhere in the flooded forests of the Amazon basin. It's the wet season, and the water level has risen 4 meters above the dry season floor, spreading across the forest and creating a vast, shallow lake between the trees. There are thousands of eggs in this clutch, attached to roots and vegetation in a loose cluster. Your father is somewhere nearby. Piranha fathers guard the nest, but the water is murky and the roots are dense, and his presence is more theoretical than practical. You break through the egg membrane and drift upward. You're about 3 millimeters long. You have a yolk sac still attached to your belly that will feed you for the first few days, which is fortunate because you can't hunt yet. Your mouth doesn't work the way it will later. You have no teeth. You're essentially a floating piece of protein in a water that contains things that eat floating pieces of protein. The first hour is the most dangerous of your life. Your siblings are hatching around you, hundreds of them, and the motion and chemical signals from the hatching attract predators. A small catfish moves through the egg cluster and sweeps through with its mouth open. You drift sideways on the current and it passes 2 centimeters from you. Another hatchling disappears, then another. You move toward the root structure and press against it, which gives you one direction you don't have to watch. By the end of day 1, roughly half your siblings are gone. By the end of day 3, when your yolk sac is depleted and you have to start finding food, maybe a third remain. The ones that survive the first week are the ones that stay close to structure, move minimally, and get lucky. Skip forward. You're 1 week old. Your yolk sac is gone, and your mouth has developed enough to capture tiny zooplankton, microscopic animals drifting in the water column. You're still only 5 millimeters long. Your teeth are forming, but they're not the interlocking, serrated blades they'll eventually become. For now, you eat whatever you can fit in your mouth, and try not to be whatever fits in someone else's mouth. The flooded forest is full of food, but also full of predators. Larger fish move through the trees. Caimans drift with their eyes at the water surface. Birds stand on submerged branches and watch the water below them. A heron standing in 30 centimeters of water spears downward every few minutes. You stay deep enough that the heron can't reach you, and shallow enough that the large fish below don't bother coming up for something your size. You're 2 weeks old, and you found the small school of fish your own size. Other young piranha from a different clutch. Piranha school not of affection, but out of mathematics. A school attacking has to choose one fish from many, which means each individual's chance of being chosen drops. You join them because joining them makes statistical sense. The school moves together through the flooded forest, feeding on zooplankton and small invertebrates, staying near root systems and submerged branches. Then a kingfisher dies. It's faster than anything you've seen move. It hits the water and comes out with a fish from the center of the school. The fish it took was a third of the way back from your position. The school scatters and reforms 30 meters away. You're in the reformed school. Not everyone is. Skip forward. You're 6 weeks old, and your teeth have come in, serrated, interlocking, capable of cutting. You're about 4 centimeters long. Your diet has shifted. You still eat invertebrates and small fish, but now you're also taking bites. A piranha bite removes a small crescent of flesh. The prey item doesn't always die from it. Sometimes you bite the tail fin of a larger fish and eat the fin tissue, and the fish swims away missing a section of its tail. This is efficient from your perspective, and probably not great from the fish's perspective, but the fish lives, for now. The school you're in has thinned significantly. Of the 30 or so fish you joined 2 weeks ago, maybe 18 remain. The losses aren't dramatic, no single catastrophic event, just a steady attrition. A bird here, a larger fish there, one fish that got separated from the school and didn't come back. The ones that survive are the ones that stay in the center of the school and react fast when the group moves. You're 3 months old and the dry season has begun. The water is receding, drawing back from the flooded forest and concentrating everything that was spread across the landscape into a shrinking volume of river and oxbow lakes. This is good and bad. Good because the concentration of fish means more food per unit of water. Bad because the concentration of fish means more predators per unit of water. And the receding water removes the structural complexity that made the forest useful for hiding. Your school has moved into a bend of the river, where the current is slow and the bottom is muddy. There are other schools of piranha here, older and larger. Your school keeps to the edges of the feeding areas and takes what the larger fish leave. When a school of larger piranhas moves into your area, your group disperses and reassembles 30 meters away. You don't fight for territory at this size. You move and find another spot. One afternoon, the water around you erupts. A large caiman has lunged at the bank where a group of birds was standing and missed, and the thrashing has sent a chemical pulse through the water. Your school reads the pulse like a crowd reads a fire alarm. Not with thought, just with movement. You're moving before you've decided to move, changing direction with the school, and the school is moving fast. You end up pressed against a muddy bank in shallow water. The caiman passes. Everyone surfaces and breathes. You're 5 months old, and your school has stabilized at around 12 fish. Roughly the same size, roughly the same age. You move together well now. The school's responses are faster and more coordinated, and you've learned the territory. You know the oxbow lake at the river bend holds large concentrations of fish during the dry season. You know the area near the fallen tree is where the bigger piranhas feed and where you don't go. You know the shallow water near the bank offer poor hunting but good cover from aerial predators. A boto, a pink river dolphin, appears in the oxbow. Dolphins echolocate, and schools of fish are easy targets for echolocation. The boto makes 3 passes through the oxbow and takes 2 fish from your school on the second pass. You're not one of them. The dolphin moves on. Your school is now 10. Skip forward. You're 8 months old, and the wet season has returned. The water is rising again, spreading back into the forest, and the concentration that made the dry season dangerous is dissolving. Your school spreads out across the flooded forest again. You're 11 centimeters long now, and your hunting has changed. You're no longer eating the scraps and edges. You're taking chunks. A school of small fish passes through your area. You and 3 others from your school separate from the main group and position yourselves below the small fish school, looking up at the silhouettes against the lighter water above. You wait until the small fish school is directly overhead. Then you move up fast. You take a bite and return to depth in less than a second. The small fish school scatters. You've taken a piece of fin and a strip of flesh from one fish. You eat it immediately. You do this 6 more times over the next 2 hours. Each time you return to depth quickly. Eat immediately and wait. You're not the apex predator in this water. There are fish larger than you, caimans above, river otters that hunt in coordinated groups and can take fish twice your size. You eat fast and you stay alert, and you keep moving. You're 1 year old now, 12 centimeters long. Your school has 8 fish left. The 4 months of the wet season have not been kind. 2 fish taken by otters, 1 that disappeared during a caiman disturbance, and 1 that was simply gone one morning. You're large enough now that many of the fish that threatened to you as a juvenile no longer bother. But you've moved into a new threat range. A large arapaima, one of the biggest freshwater fish in the world, has been moving through your territory. Arapaima are massive. They surface to breathe air, and when they do, you can hear them. You give them space. You're 18 months old. You're now 18 centimeters long, solidly adult in size. Your school has been stable at 6 fish for 3 months. You've established a territory in a section of the oxbow, and you defend it from other piranha schools, which involves a lot of posturing, lateral display, and occasional escalating bites. Most territorial disputes end before anyone gets seriously hurt. The fish that are serious about fighting you are the ones you take seriously. Your teeth have been replaced twice now. Piranha teeth are replaced in sections, half the jaw replaced at once, so there's always a functional set in the mouth. The replacement process takes a few weeks each time, and during those weeks, the new section is softer and less effective. You eat more carefully during replacement, taking smaller bites from softer prey. Then the new teeth harden and you go back to normal. You're 2 years old now, and it's the dry season again. The water is low and the oxbow is shrinking, and the concentration is high. A fisherman's net enters the water upstream and sweeps down through the oxbow. You see the net before it reaches you. The material and the way it moves through the water is distinct from anything natural. You change direction. Most of your school changes direction with you. The net passes through your former position, and you hear the thrashing of other fish caught in it. 3 fish from a neighboring school are taken. You watch the net from a safe distance as it's hauled out of the water. You've been in this river for 2 years. You know its patterns. You know the net. You know the boto and the caiman and the arapaima and the otter. You know the dry season and the wet season, and the moment the water starts to taste different, when the level's about to change. You know all of this. You know it the way a fish knows things, in your body, in your reactions, in the 10,000 small decisions that have kept you alive when most things hatch the same week you did are long gone. You're swimming in the oxbow at midday when the water above you changes pressure. Something large is moving fast from above. It enters the water before you can fully process the direction. It's a giant river otter, and it's come from an angle you don't cover. It takes you behind the gills on the right side, and the grip is complete before your body has finished processing the signal to move. The oxbow is quiet by afternoon. The otter has gone. The remaining 5 fish in your school move through the familiar water in the familiar pattern. The dry season continues. The water keeps dropping.